Okay, who was here yesterday for Vidal's class? You were here, right? Mm-hmm. Yeah, so I got very inspired by he gave a great talk about Hatzot, about keeping Hatzot. And I used to be really disciplined about it. I was started slacking as soon as I got to Miami. Maybe something like in the air, something like a party city or something. Hard to go to bed early, and so
we stay up late.
Yeah, that's my point. Yeah, Vidal was saying that in Breslov, the idea is we don't want to just stay up until it's so we want to go to sleep and then get up in the middle of the night. People here try to keep it sometimes.
Yeah, it's called breaking your sleep.
It's called breaking your sleep. Yeah. And so, very hard, very difficult thing.
Once you can break your sleep, it's awesome.
Yeah.
Every day naturally.
Oh, you do it every day naturally?
Every day naturally.
Like what?
I go to sleep. Last night I went to sleep real early. It was really raining. I went to sleep around 9:15. That's early.
Yeah.
I went to sleep a week before, maybe 12:15.
Yeah.
I broke my sleep.
You still got it?
Yeah, I broke my sleep.
That's good. Yeah.
A long part.
Yeah,
the body gets used to it.
Yeah. It's very good. Yeah, once we get into
it. Years. So it's perfect.
Oh, good for you.
I'm on the 10. But go ahead. I don't want to interrupt.
No, it's fine. You can talk. Rob Berlin too, he also said it's really good for us to sleep on the floor, which I've been lazy about too, but I can't do it straight. I get, what's that?
Your back? It's not good on your back.
No, he says it builds the adrenaline. Like I put a camp. No, Rob Berlin, a while ago, like a year ago, he talked about this. Myself, I can't do it straight on the floor. You have to be at some kind of level to. Yeah, I put a camping mat. No, I think it's more. What's that? He was talking about building adrenaline somehow. I think it forces your body to kick in more adrenaline, just like any kind of type of sport or competition. It forces your body to go up a notch. Yeah, the bed's very like kind of makes you soft. Sleep in a soft bed makes you soft. So anyhow, I did it both last night. So I'm
that's why you over here crashed out.
It's crashed out. He called me in the morning.
Crashed out.
Yeah, he called me in the morning. Woke me up. So you see that in Jerusalem around the yeshiva. Some of the guys just sleep. Some of the young guys just sleep right on the floor. Very, very like strong thing.
Break your comfort.
To break your comfort, and that part of it, the adrenaline to force the body to come up to another level. It's like say you were in a competition against someone who's a higher level than you. It forces you to come up a level. It's like that. Someone will get sick if they just slept on the floor if they had weak health. So it's kind of like forces the higher health. Not an easy thing to jump into. So in Sefer Midot, Rabbi Nachman is saying. One who has more holiness, he is further away from sleep. One who has more holiness is further away from sleep. And through excessive sleeping and slumber, one is pushed out of the merkav of holiness. One's face changes and one's godly image is corrupted. Pretty intense, huh? So, when we sleep too much, you can just think of we sleep too much and look in the mirror and then you see your face just looks kind of like crowded out. What's the merkav of holiness? Anyone? Merkav of holiness? No. Merkav means chariot. Some kind of higher.
Like,
what's that?
It's a whole big Kabbalistic.
Yeah, some kind of higher Kabbalistic thing. The 15 songs of ascent that are in the book of Tehillim, chapters 120 through 134, are propitious to annul sleep. And one who's unable to sleep should bring to mind faith in the resurrection. One who can't sleep should bring to mind faith in the resurrection of the dead, somehow, some connection. So my particular angle is I work in holistic my whole life, so I think particularly about what kind of stuff connects like with holistic thought and Breslov thought. What are the crossovers? So in terms of sleep, one of the things we know from holistic is that like the sleep cycle of the farmers, that's like always known to be a healthier cycle, to go to bed early, get up early. And Breslov is kind of like an exaggerated version of it. But I worked on farms a lot, and there's the idea of just getting up, taking care of the animals first thing in the morning. You active. Another thing when we keep huts, another idea to not eat until after nights, and like nights when I'll get up and I'll have a snack or something, it just takes the whole kind of drive of the process. So in farm life, that's one of the amazing things is to it's like such hard work during the day that we crash really early and then we get up at night. And so it's a similar thing. If we're keeping Hatsos, a lot of times if we get in that pattern, the next day we can't stay up as late, so we crash naturally and get in that circadian farmer rhythm kind of thing.
Like, was it a dairy cat? I mean, what's that farm?
I worked on mostly with goats and vegetables. But yeah, especially with the animals, you have to get it. But also with vegetables because of the heat. So we'd always like want to work before the heat of the day. So we try to get up and like do a work session in the morning, and then once the sun went down in the afternoon, do another work session at night. Big thing. I think I felt as healthy as when I lived on farms, vegetable farms, orchards, herbal farms, herb farms, and goats. Yeah, I never did cows, but how's it going? So pretty much it's not just Kabbalah or farming, but pretty much every health system out there talks about going to bed early. Oh, maybe you can shut the door. Yes, pretty much every health system out there talks about going to bed early, like the Chinese medicine, Indian medicine. They all say the same thing, that the hours of sleep before midnight are worth twice as much. And Kabbalah says the exact same thing. Yeah. But the top guy on my cross country team in high school, he used to go to sleep and wake up in the middle of the night and run. It was kind of cool. instead of what says, I'll book on the air problem.
Lady's wife.
Oh yeah, no, yeah. She the book on the biography and Rob. There we go. Do you want to turn to that front door too? So it's some mysterious form of the sleep. The sleep before midnight's work twice as much, but I can really feel it. You notice it, like it's a real like palpable kind of thing. So in other words, if we went to bed, slept like 9 at night until 2 in the morning, that 9 to 12 is like worth 6 hours of sleep. So then
there's
that's
also a lot of good judgments. In the night.
Yeah. The dinam in the beginning of the night, the dinam.
Feel like a boil.
Yeah, to kind of sleep through the judgments, to sleep through it instead of enduring it. Yeah, they said double park. Double park is okay, but triple parking is not okay. Borough park. So so the opposite of the sleep kind of pattern is like sort of the party schedule where stay up late, and then go to bed in the middle of the night. And the internet culture is kind of like fostering that. Like you don't even have to go out and party anymore. It's just like there's a party in your cell phone, your computer, 24 hours a day, and like it sort of just takes over. I used to do massage therapy backstage for famous musicians. I said some tour company would hire me. So one time I worked for one of the more famous musicians out there, and he told me he lived on pizza and beer for like 25 years. And he had really weird, stay up all night playing and stuff. He had really weird music. And then he got on a super health kick where he got into going to bed early and chiropractic and nutrition and fasting. And his music got very sort of normalized, and he started to lose all his fan base because it wasn't like weird. It wasn't like weird and freaky enough. So this is another meeting between the holistic worlds and the Breslov worlds is like the movement to sort of purge the internet from the house, which most people can't even imagine like where to start. Like when I first started hearing about this, I thought, I had to do a lot of work online. I thought, there's no way, like I can't possibly do it. How would I ever do it? And then I wanted to move into Rob Berlin's neighborhood, and his neighborhood, they won't give you a shit up if they find out you have internet in the house. It's like very strict. Texting's more make things more make, but internet in the home, that's where they draw the line. And so I used the excuse. I was like, oh, I've always wanted to because I knew I'd sleep better. All this stuff. So I finally did. I finally made the jump, and in the beginning, you feel like, well, how can I get anything done? I found myself so much more productive once I got into the house. I started sleeping, able to go to bed early. You know,
you remember life before the internet?
yeah. I'm 47, believe it or not. So yeah, barely. I'm part of it. It was a different world, but it brings back those memories. You know, when you went home. Home is like, you know, a place where you have quiet, and I didn't go back after that. Like once I moved here to Miami, you know, getting set up is hard. You got to find something. I said, no, there's no internet in the house, man. And obviously, to do that, you have to have like no smartphone too. That's like a double whammy. But pretty much all the big health teachers I know are trying to work on the same exact agenda, because in terms of sleep patterns, it's extremely hard to get the sleep patterns normalized with the internet, because unless someone has like superhuman control, they're just going to get on and check, you know, you wake up in the middle of the night, check your email. Oh, here's a video. Here's this, here's that. Oh, there's bombing in Israel.
Just looking at the phone itself now.
Yeah. There's something that's free you can download called Flux, which makes the light of your
iPhones have this called night shift.
Yeah, night shift or Flux. It makes the light like better. It makes it more normal. Gadali had a funny idea. So he was talking about if you're addicted to yourself and you turn it into black and white, just make it less. I called it. He said it was grayscale. What's it?
Grayscale. What's it called? Grayscale.
Grayscale.
You can go
Yeah. Grayscale. Yeah, Flux makes the light regulate with the light patterns outside.
Very hard to use.
So whoever wants support to like try to get the internet out of your house forever, I'm really motivated, because they had such an incredible change for me. Plus, like most of the big poskim in Israel, they made it a source. So like we don't have to rely on our own kind of seichel for this. So like, listen, it's like, you know, too intense a thing to have take over our life all the time. So that helped too, just to rely on the poskim, and it really separates the cultures, you know. But I think it's one thing that Haredi got right. My friend, his father used to be a big Talmud Chacham or whatever, and then he just got into iPhone culture. And he said, like, he always turned my friends, because internet completely out the house, and whenever something comes up, my friend can remember it, because in his father-in-law's culture, this whatever comes up, they can't remember. They just look it up on the smartphone right away while they're learning, you know. So just like the memory, the power of the memory dulls. It's kind of like we were talking about the sleeping on the floor. Sleeping on the floor forces a higher like level of adrenaline and circulation. Same thing. So like we take away the crutch, and it forces us to come up a notch. And same thing, like relying on the internet for when we can't remember stuff every time. It just
lost our sense of direction.
Yeah, sense of directions.
So you used to remember phone numbers.
I don't know phone numbers.
Right. Yeah. The brain addles. Yeah. The brain addles because of it. So Rav Zachariah Wallerstein, is that his name? He's really big on this. He's very intense about it. Smartphone. Yeah. The whole culture. And I think he's so strict. Yeah. He never looks at email. He says, "Secretary, print out all," which sounds ridiculous. He says, "Secretary, print out all the stuff and I'll read it in paper," which sounds ridiculous, but we realize once you start one thing, it leads to another thing, leads to another. It's such a. What's that?
Smartphones for stupid people.
Stupid phones for smart. Can you forward the paper?
What's that? But I figured out, like, I'm always trying to be practical when I help people with their health. I'm trying to be practical. What's realistic? So to just take away someone's smartphone, you know, it's not realistic for most people. So I figured out what we can do is people can get like a second dumb phone, you know, like one of the old-fashioned flip phones or something, and like have two phones in the beginning, and then start to like segue over, you know, turn off the smartphone for an hour a day and just use the other one, you know, and then sort of slowly figure out how to work our way off. People are very like in denial about it. If you bring up the issue, they're very, you know, kind of, you can't discuss it. Computers, yeah, problem. That's why to
it's in the home is the big issue with computers. It's not so much having it.
No, I mean, for sure. No, I mean,
go to a room and somebody needs to be on a computer. There's no way somebody along the line, you know.
Right. No, whatever. We don't want to be so extreme that nothing gets done. But yeah, to whatever, for me personally and externally in terms of like religious culture, getting the internet out of the house was like the big movement for a lot of things. So we have the house and office separation again, you know. So for me in Jerusalem, I just had an office, go to the office, use my computer, go home, not use the computer, But the cell phone, the smartphone that presents a.
Even like the big celebrities, they would say like, have your bedroom like a sanctuary, like take all the.
Yeah. That's a good in between thing. To have one room in the house, does on the internet. Yeah, the other room. That's
TVs,
right, because sleeping with the smartphone by the head, whatever, just never stops.
Now you can throw the bed out.
Yeah.
Sleep on the
And Zahari Rav Wallerstein talks about the web is like a spider's web, and what does a spider do? It spins its web and it just waits, it spins, and you can't get out. Once you get in the web, you can't get out. It pulls you in and it kind of sucks it, and the spider will come and get you and bite you and suck the life out of you. So that's kind of like, yeah. So then, figured out Rav Wallerstein's always kind of a powerful guy, and I was so we figured out what one of the secrets is. He's connected to Rav Gamliel Rabinowitz in Jerusalem, he's pretty much known as like, what's that? No, he's pretty much known as it's Shara Shemayim, like he's pretty much known as maybe the top Ashkenazi Kabbalist in Jerusalem. Very special guy. So that's like, what's that? Gamliel Rabinowitz. Yeah. So we can't do much about controlling. That's mine. We can't do much about controlling the world. Like it's just what's gonna happen is gonna happen. But we can control our thoughts and what we look at and who we associate with. There's certain things there's certain sort of small amount of things we can control, and then the vast amount of stuff we can't control. It doesn't make any sense to be sort of emotional about what we recorded. Yeah. It's like, yeah. Sorry. Oh, you didn't see me. What? Why? No, yeah. So I saw this live feed too. So in terms of so let me think. So controlling like what happens in our home is one level of control. That's like the home is our castle, our fortress. So we have a massive control in many cases over what happens in our home, but even more so like controlling our thoughts. And so thinking about when I was preparing this class, thinking about the internet and internet culture, a lot of it's about fantasy. It's all kind of like one extended fantasy, the internet, cyber, and it really gets carried away with game. I had a student who's into gaming, and they, this kind of gaming universe, you just can't imagine the like extent of where it gets carried away. I'd be, I'm not a parent yet, but I'd be kind of worried my kids, like where you put the controls. And so in terms of the internet, maybe the main problem is like how it encourages sexual fantasy at sort of a higher level. And when I got to Miami, just the culture here seems like sexual fantasy is like not only encouraged, it's sort of like an ideal or something. I tried to look in a couple of the magazines, and like every page leads to something the other. And I think it's maybe like a main misunderstanding in sort of Western culture, hip culture, that sexual fantasy is somehow some sort of like goal and glorification. Whereas in Breslov, we know Rabbi Nachman made a big deal about it's a real problematic thing. So I had a couple of quotes from Sefer Mina on that. It's kind of intense. One who entertains thoughts of a Gentile woman. If a Jewish man entertains thoughts of a Gentile woman, through this alone, his children will not be Torah scholars. Sexual desire can be distanced from a man. Sexual desire cannot be distanced from a man, except through distancing the vision of the eye and thought. So, like, unless we control our eyes to not look at women, we can't possibly distance ourselves. So obviously, the looking at a woman sexually starts some sort of fantasy inside, which leads to thoughts, which lead in kind of a direction of taking the energy down. This one's pretty intense. Do not enter into negotiations with your temptations, for the elaboration of the sensations of the contemplator, even directed negation, will affect reinforcement of the desire, and his will be overturned on him. Makes sense? So like, that kind of made me think of fantasy. People think like, have a certain desire and then think, oh, maybe it's okay in this way, that way, so, making room for things to grow. And before I became firm, I was in all sorts of meditation systems, and they always teach the same thing, that we can't like, the thoughts just come. Thoughts just come. When we watch our thoughts, they just come one after another. But it's like a train. We can decide to get on it and ride it somewhere, or we can just like let it go. So sexual fantasies and some kind of idea of like having a thought go in a certain direction and then like really riding with it, right? One who wants to guard his sexual purity should always say the truth and should also do kindness to one that he does not expect repayment. Very wholesome. Very wholesome thing. One who omits his seed in vain, it's as if he brings his children as a sacrifice for idol worship, and also he is judged by stoning. So omitting the seed in vain is like, the internet, all this sort of pornography and just racy imagery. It's sort of like the purpose is to sort of encourage masturbation or something like this, and that's the kind of direction of the fantasy. Yeah, sorry, this stuff's a little rough here. And this one I couldn't really connect. It's just a strange, interesting one. Someone who serves as the guarantor for a wicked person becomes promiscuous. It's like back to bad friends, like who we choose to link ourselves to, wittingly or unwittingly, back in terms of what we can control. I think I mentioned it last class that like in Breslov, the big thing is sichos haverim, to kind of be with friends. And then my Rav in Jerusalem, he said kind of a rough thing. He said that's only in terms of people that are in the community of who they think is a tzaddik ador, like the kind of whatever. It's easy to kibbutz and whatever, but to kind of have like a serious friendship, it's more like together we help each other follow the top leadership of the generation. It's a more serious kind of thing. The internet's kind of like this. It's this endless thing that never turns off. And to me, it reminds me of what I was talking about meditation, how the mind can just kind of go and go and go. And if we don't do our meditation or are supposed to do some kind of slow things down and look at it, it just sort of has it's like a wild horse. It just has a mind of its own and just goes and goes. And like allowing the internet to just run unbridled in our life, it's kind of like that. It's just this thing. It doesn't stop. It's like we're kind of welcoming, making the problems worse. So then I thought this is kind of like relation. Like a lot of us, we know, say we're using the internet, 15 hours a day, or using our smartphone 15 hours a day. There's kind of this thought that, we know we should scale back and we're not sure how to, something like that. And then I thought of the sort of parallel in Breslov. In Breslov, Rabbeinu talks about the goal is to we all have to go to the tzaddik ador. We have to find like the top rabbi of the generation and go to them and learn from them. And in Breslov, unfortunately, in my mind, a lot of people, they say that's only Rabbi Nachman, which, whatever, there's different camps, But for us to, so then a lot of us have this idea that, okay, we really should, maybe we should find who that is. We should eventually find who it is. We should eventually get
Rabbi Nachman kept looking after Rabbi
Yeah.
looking for him.
After Rabbi Nachman died.
You'd still davening that.
Right. And people say, well, you're actually it. It's Rabbi Nachman, you're actually no.
But he still was looking, so.
Yeah. That's very inspiring. Yeah, that's very good.
It tells you something.
Yeah. So with the internet, we get have this feeling that we're gonna do it later. It's something we'll get to later. We're gonna scale back later. Tzaddik ador, we're gonna get to it later. And of course, that's like a dangerous kind of sort of view. We should really kind of seize today somehow and start it. And yeah, a little bit's good. Some people I work with, they can't get off the internet so much. So I set up the filters, you can set up the block so it'll like program it so it only allows you on like 10 hours a day or something. Just
10 hours.
turns off. What's that?
10 hours.
10 hours for a lot of people, it's good. No,
It's like working or just goofing off 10 hours.
Whatever, no, working, whatever.
Oh,
Altogether,
working
yeah,
still.
some kind of limit. And versus the interconnection. Yeah, I'm in Shidduchim, and sometimes I'll talk to a woman like in a different state or a different country, and it's almost I realize there's a side of it that's a blessing in disguise, that like it forces you to take it more seriously, to even bother with it. You know what I mean? If you talk to someone who's in another country and it seems like a little bit off, you say, "Yeah, forget the whole thing." Whereas if you talk to someone in your same town, it's a little bit off, you say, "Okay, whatever, I'll just go meet anyways," and maybe waste a bunch of time. So it's like a blessing in disguise that to have that distance to force like something more serious. And so we could apply that to the Tzaddik Ador too. Like if we feel like so far away and we hear about someone in another country, Rob Berlands or Rabbi Yaakov Meir Schechter or whoever someone might think it is in Breslov, we might think like it's a blessing in disguise. It kind of forces like a certain seriousness to pick ourselves up and go. Whereas like if the biggest Rebbe was here in Miami, I'd be, oh, I'll, whatever, I can go anytime, not take it seriously. So myself to get to Rob Berlin, it was like a 10-year process. I was against him for years. It took a whole lot of kind of searching for who might be the top of the generation. I got to Rob Morgenstern first, and that's what led me to it. But it was a real brutal, long process, and so it's not necessarily an easy thing. And then once I found him, it was kind of even more like overwhelming how to actually like follow it, But I feel like he's really it. But then it's like a lot of people. I ask them who they think is it, and they don't have someone. They're not looking for someone, which to me that's something like dropping the ball, or aspect of dropping the ball, and But more and more, I was thinking, I said, when I watch people, it seems like there's a lot of people, there's sort of like overcompensation. People will do some kind of overcompensation to justify not looking. They'll be like, oh, I'm an important doctor. I don't have time to, go look for who's the tzaddik or I'm an important, I do an important amount of charity or something. I don't know, I'm doing, and what's that? I'm too busy. Yeah, but it's some kind of overcompensation thing, and I know it's kind of like an enjoyable show to me now. It's a bit like a comedy or like a clown show. Not to sound too insulting, but I think like if we can endeavor to find who we think it is, and then endeavor to follow what they tell us. We might not feel the need to sort of do these other things in our life, which seem good, but they might not be our actual tafkid, One of my friends, Rob Berlin, he's a real serious guy. He was in the special forces, some kind of special unit, real serious, intense guy. And he once went to Rob Berlin. He kind of, he said, like, what's the tafkid in my life? He really, put it on the table. Rob Berlin said, start a gemacht for milk and bread. The guy wanted to say he had been a special forces guy. He wanted some special mission, Go to America and start a gemach for milk and bread because around the mainstreams, a lot of the families just really don't have a penny. Like you've never seen yet. Can't believe there's that kind of poverty. And he's being a good hustle. He said, okay, he was hoping for something a little more interesting, a little more glamorous, but that's what he got. And the same guy, he might have, if he wasn't with the Rav, he might have been out starting some amazing shul with more membership than anyone in the country, or something. So instead of overcompensating, we should just seek the Tzaddik Ador and see what our mission is, because we're trying to find our own mission a lot, but it doesn't really make sense because that would just mean we think we're the Tzaddik Ador if we're going to pick our own mission. It's kind of a bit of a humble pie type of thing. What's these last readings I had were, so a couple of readings of the Tzaddik here. it's very beneficial to see the faces of the leaders of the generation. It's very beneficial just to see the faces. I think they mean live, back in the old days before we could just see it on the internet. It's probably not a problem to see it on the internet, but to see live somehow, the live energy. I read this one last time. Drawing close to Siddiqim with strenuous effort is more propitious for the serving of God. And one who does not serve Torah scholars is liable to the death penalty. Another kind of serious, how seriously we have to take it. And the tzaddik can bring departed souls up to a great level. That reminded me of a story I heard about my rabbi. This one really got to me. There was someone in our kahila, and he had a relative, and the relative committed suicide. And then the person who committed suicide started haunting the member of my kahila in his dreams, like really vivid and horrifying. And this guy just couldn't sleep. And he's saying, like, he's saying, you could have saved me. Why didn't you save me? So then the person is being haunted. He went to Rob Berlin. He said, like, can you help? Rob Berlin said, yeah. He said, I'll find him. So he just, what do you mean? So then Rob Berlin just stopped, and he put his tallis over his head or something. And then he took it off, and Rob Berlin had been crying, like, real seriously. His face was all puffed up. And he said, like, okay, I took care of it, and then the haunting stopped, That was like, well, so the tzaddik can bring departed souls up to.
Can you put it off?
Yeah, 1 second. Okay, pause here. Ooh, yeah.
I just learned, unfortunately, I'm sitting for my sister.
Yeah.
Passed away 2 weeks ago. So I've been learning a lot about what happened, shaman, all that stuff. Safer that basically compiles all the different ideas.
Is that your book Afterlife?
No, it's anyway. So one of the things we learned this morning was that, let's say someone is supposed to live to 71, and they commit suicide at 30. So from age 30 to 71, he gets the Shemayim, and what are you doing here? You're 31 years old, 41 years, whatever.
Wow.
So they have no rest until they're supposed to come to the basement at that time.
Wow.
So they're all running all over the world, back and forth, without any rest for 41 years. Wow. Until they said, okay, now you're invited to.
Whew.
Is that amazing?
That's intense,
I never
man.
knew that.
Yeah, that reminds me.
So there was you're familiar with Sefer Mikhail Yehuda, right? I think he was a contemporary bench guy. So he was writing.
Ketaya.
Yeah, Ketaya. He was writing this. He wrote this story. He could see in Shemayim. He could see. He wrote down different things, stories. There was one story. It was always dark, very dark. This story, There was one story. This lady went crazy or whatever. She jumped off a building, committed suicide. He saw her in front of the Beit Din in Shemayim, and she said, "I take 100% responsibility. I committed the suicide." But she's like, "I want to say one thing," and she said. I believe that everything that happened to me, the craziness, the jumping off the building, it was all Hashem, it was all His doing, and I still take responsibility. And then he said he heard the Shem spoke down and said, let her go. And she's free. Wow. Like, can you imagine that? That's incredible. Suicide, that's like a big, but you don't know the soul. Like, they recognize that it was all Hashem, and Hashem says, it's fine, just let it go.
These are good stories for the old woman.
Well, it's a sensitive subject. I mean, if you ever had something in your life.
Yeah. No, but I think it's good to get this information out, because the public thing on suicide is so small-minded. It's like, you never hear stuff.
It's also considered murder yourself.
Yeah.
Some people will murder somebody else, but they get out of themselves.
Yeah. It's
murder themselves.
You never know the level of the soul. Because it's a halakha that you jump in the flames rather than embarrass somebody, It's like, you never know. Like, they might have saw some embarrassment or something. They jumped in, spiritually speaking, and they took on that busha for, Shem or Shema.
Yeah. It's intense. Yeah, it's very, very, very intense. I think I'm sort of done anyway, so wrap it up. 1 second. Yeah. Wow. I heard on the subject of suicide, I heard in a different path somehow outside of Torah that when someone kills themselves, their soul returns to the spot where they kill themselves every day until it's rectified, which makes sense because you think of all the haunting movies and all that, or just regular haunting stuff in regular life. They see someone commit suicide, there's always like a weird energy there, so it makes sense. Yeah, that's part of how I went from. I was around a lot of weird stuff like this through mystical, occult sort of things, and I realized there's a whole other world that's very creepy and needs it's too dangerous to mess with without knowing what we're doing, you know. Because yeah, in the holistic world, it's kind of like the religion of health, and it doesn't put so much emphasis on whether it's, you know, totally ethical or spiritually safe. Or, you know, so you have people talking to the dead. It's crazy stuff, and contacting spirits. And so I was around a lot of that stuff. That was a big part of how I went from. Yeah, strange thing. Yeah, I realized the halacha was like the best protection. But I still wanted to, like, yeah, people are smart. Science kind of minded people are smart. They say, like, you know, stay away from all this woo stuff. Just do science. It's kind of cool. It just becomes dry, you know. So I think people that want Kabbalah or something, they're not satisfied with like just dry science. You know, it's too black and white, too dry. You know, there's obviously other realms and other realities, deeper realities. You know, so to cut all that out would be a bummer, but to do it in a safe way is very important. Yeah, I meet holistic people that are just doing random, talking to angels, just random stuff. They have no idea what they're getting into, and luckily most of them aren't serious enough to like really be doing anything, you know. But some of them get very serious, and then, you know, it's like an accident waiting to happen. Yeah. Playing with plutonium. Strangely enough, like there was a woman in Tel Aviv who had something talking to angels, secular woman. And they brought her up Mordechai Eliyahu, and you'd think he would say, no, absolutely not. But he said, no, in her case, it's okay. Yeah, you never know what's going to happen. But, you know, for the ordinary Joe on the street, or for the ordinary Yosef on the street, it's definitely like, yeah, messes. And yeah, Miami, I remember these new age bookstores. It's not, you don't really see that in Israel. And here you see the psychic reading. And I'm pretty sensitive to energy. I can just look from a distance at those places and just see it just looks like really off energy, you know? And that reminded me of something I forgot to talk about in the beginning, that this whole thing about sleeping on the floor and the power of Shemiras Bris. When I was a Chinese thing a lot before, like real serious Chinese meditation practitioners. And some of them can do the most incredible things, you know, like sleep sitting up all night. Well, one of my teachers had slept sitting up on purpose for the last like 35 years. And what's that? What does it do? And another one, he won like a full contact Chinese martial arts thing 50 years in a row. And they said it was all the power of Shemiras Bris, very similar. And yet when I became from, I went back around those scenes. I didn't know there's like a rule. When in the beginning, I knew there's a rule about it. You can't go around those scenes. So I just kind of went back around, and the energy felt terrible to me. Something like very, at the time, it was like a real power for sure. But at the time, it was the greatest thing. And then like afterwards, after I became from this, I feel something very like impure, like noticeably impure. But it's interesting, these traditions, they have a lot of the same, you know, they were going to bed early, getting up in the middle of the night, Shemiras Bris, intensive prayer, externally very similar, you know. That's why the new age person in America on the streets, it's all the same, you know, you guys are, you know, and I don't blame them, it looks, you know, from a distance, it looks all the same. We shouldn't be fooled. Okay, so any final thoughts, ideas? No. All right. Thanks a lot. It was great. It's great to see you in class. Thanks.
You reminded me of Reb Mordechai Eliyahu, who said, like, for her, it's okay. There was somebody that asked Reb Mordechai Shirab,